Good morning students. Today we can discuss a new chapter, vector algebra. Okay, and this chapter is very simple. We have already discussed in 11th standard. And you remember two types of quantities, scalar and vector. Scalar is a quantity having only magnitude. Example, distance, mass, length, etc. But vector is a quantity having both magnitude and direction. Example, displacement, force, velocity, okay, acceleration, etc. Scalar is a quantity having only magnitude, but vector is a quantity having both magnitude and direction. Okay. Then next we can discuss the notation. How will you represent a vector? There are three notation. The first notation is by using two capital letters. Two capital letters. In the first notation, the first letter, see this example, a vector AB. Here, the first letter A is the starting point. It is called the initial point. The first point is called the initial point. And the second point B, the finishing point, it is called the terminal point. First point is the initial point and the second one is called the terminal point. Okay. The distance between A and B is the length of the vector is called its magnitude. And magnitude of AB is denoted by modulus AB. Okay, this symbol is familiar, modulus, which means the magnitude or length of the vector, distance between two letters A and B. Okay, and see the arrow. This arrow represents the direction of the vector. Okay, this is not arrow, this is a directed line segment. That is, a line segment shows the direction of the vector. And here the direction is from A to B. And see the next case, it is not from A to B, it is from B to A. Okay, this directed line segment, it shows the direction from B to A and these two vectors are not equal. And this is the first notation by using two capital letters. First point is the initial point and the second letter is the terminal point. Distance between them is called its magnitude and its direction is from A to B. Is it clear? And the second notation by using a single letter. Okay, that is a single small letter, not by capital, a single small letter. And in this second representation, that letter A, here A represents the magnitude of the vector. Okay, then example vector B. If B is small letter, that B represents its magnitude. Vector X, where X is the magnitude of the vector. And the third one, it is a standard form of a vector xi plus yj plus zk. Xi plus yj plus zk. Okay. And here the coefficient of ijk, that is x, y, z are called its scalar components. What is it? Scalar components. And xi, yj, zk. The three parts are called the vector component. The coefficient of I, j, k, x, y, z are the scalar components and xi, yj, zk, they are called the vector components. And its direction is x unit along the x-axis, y unit along the y-axis and z unit along the z-axis. Its magnitude is root of x square plus y square plus z square. What is x, y, z? They are the coefficients of I, j, k. That is the third notation. Okay, and it is the standard notation of a vector. Okay, and the next topic is position vector. Do you remember what is position vector? Okay, distance of any point from the origin is called its position vector. For example, position vector of the point A is represented by OA. What does it mean? Distance between the point A and the origin. And position vector of P, we can represent vector OP. Position vector of Y, we can represent OY. And in terms of position vector, we can represent the vector AB. We can represent the vector AB as the position vector of the terminal minus position vector of the initial. In terms of position vector, we can represent any vector as the position vector of the terminal minus position vector of the initial, OB minus OA. And XY we can write OY minus OX. PQ we can write OQ minus OP. Is it clear? Okay. And the next one is types of vector. Types of vector. The first one is zero vector. Zero of vector is a vector having magnitude 0. Okay, the concept magnitude 0 means the initial and terminal point coincides. Example, vector AA. See, the initial and terminal points are same. Vector BB, etc. Okay, it is a vector having magnitude 0. Okay, that means the initial and terminal points coincides. And the next one is unit vector. What is unit vector? A vector having magnitude 1. Okay, and instead of directed line segment, we are using cap to denote a unit vector. Okay, a cap. What is a cap? The unit vector along the direction of vector A is denoted by a cap, and its formula is vector A by magnitude of vector A. Okay, the unit vector along the direction of any vector is that vector divided by its magnitude. Okay, and the third one is co-initial vectors. What is it? Co-initial vectors. Okay, co-initial vectors means the vectors having the same initial point. See, like OA, OB, OC. The three vectors having the same initial point O. They are called co-initial vectors. The vectors having the same initial point are called co-initial vectors. Is it okay? And the next one is collinear vectors. Collinear. Collinear. You know the word collinear. What is collinear? The vectors are on the same line. Okay, but the vectors not only on the same line, the parallel vectors are also called collinear vectors. Okay, and the condition is if two vectors A and B are said to be collinear, one of the vector can be expressed as a scalar multiple of the other. That means if the two vectors A and B are collinear, we can write vector A is equal to lambda into vector B, where lambda is any scalar. Okay, if a vector is a scalar multiple of the other vector, we can say that the two vectors are collinear or they are parallel. And the next one is coplanar vectors. Okay, you know what is coplanar? The vectors are on the same plane. They are called coplanar. And the next one, equal vectors. Equal vectors means the two vectors having same magnitude and same direction. Same magnitude and same direction are called equal vectors. And but the vectors having same magnitude but opposite in direction. Same magnitude but opposite in direction. See these two. Its direction is from A to B and its direction is from B to A, but they are having the same magnitude, AB. Okay. And these vectors are called opposite vectors or negative vectors. Okay. What are the types of vectors? Zero vector or null vector having magnitude 0. Unit vector having magnitude 1. Its formula is the given vector by its magnitude. And the third one is co-initial vectors having the same initial point. And the two vectors are on the same line or parallel are called collinear vectors. And the vectors are on the same plane are called coplanar vectors. The vectors having same magnitude and same direction are called equal vectors. But the vectors having same magnitude but opposite in direction are called opposite vectors or negative of a vector. Okay. And if two points are given, x1, y1, z1 and x2, y2, z2, how will you find a vector in between them? Okay, which are the 2 points? First initial point x1, y1, z1, second terminal point x2, y2, z2. The vector joining 2 points is x2 minus x1 into I plus y2 minus y1 into j, x2 minus x1 into I plus y2 minus y1 into j plus z2 minus z1 into k. That is a vector joining 2 points x1, y1, z1 and x2, y2, z2 is x2 minus x1 into I plus y2 minus y1 into j plus z2 minus z1 into k. Okay.